On this episode of Brokers Open Podcast, we talk about how you can make more money and save more time by delegating the right tasks. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Brokers Open Podcast. I'm Dr. Ben Spears, the Doctor of Flow. I'm here as usual with the big guy, Matt Vine. What's up, Matt?
Man, living the dream.
Yep, I love it. Guys, we're going to do another podcast. We're going to do six podcasts in a row talking about the dream. Talking about the dream with Matt, just to figure out what this is. I'm really going to get to the bottom of it. Had a lot of questions and comments saying, Ben, I really need you to figure this out. That being said, Matt, we have an interesting topic that's not that we're going to talk about today. What's that?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about delegation. A lot of agents struggle with it. One, deciding if they want to do it. Two, making sure that it gets done the right way. And three, what is it that needs to be delegated? So we're going to dig into all that. We're going to turn the page so that people can move forward and do the things that they need to in their business.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And guys, you know that we're going to give you nothing but the truth here because, you know, we break the rules a little bit sometimes on BOP, like a fat guy wearing horizontal stripes. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know what I'm talking about. If you're listening to it, I'm wearing horizontal stripes. But that being said, Matt, when it comes to delegation or anything else, really in real estate and almost in life, timing is everything. Absolutely. So let's talk about timing.
Yeah. So, you've heard the saying before, right? We talk about it all the time. Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today, right? Delegation is the same exact way. And we're going to dig into something else on delegation in just a second that kind of makes a difference on the timing of when you should do it. Okay. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but go ahead and take action. Go ahead and find some little thing that you need to delegate so that you're comfortable with it. Use the formula that we're about to talk about, and it's going to help you put things in place so you kind of get some of that balance back. But you have to look at it from a point of, I need to take action. So a big part of the timing is like, let's go.
Perfect. I love that. So just to provide a little bit of context, for everybody moving forward, because I know we've got some new agents who maybe they've never done a transaction in their life. Maybe we've got some just experienced agents who, gosh, I delegate everything already, that kind of thing. Or just, you're a member of a team, whatever, or you have some VAs. I'm assuming, later on we're going to talk a little bit and touch a little bit about, who we're delegating these things to as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and that'll tie into the timing thing that you were just saying, right? So whenever we're let's say we want to go on a listing appointment. Okay, that's the best way to explain it. Let's say that you want to go on a listing appointment. You're a team leader. You got two other people on your team. Man, if the people just got started, if they've been buyers agents the whole time, and this is an important competing listing appointment, that's not the time, and that's not the person to delegate that to, right? And you're certainly not going to tell a VA that's working overseas, hey, I want you to get on the phone and do your listing presentation with these sellers, right? and you're not going to get
how trash you are at listing appointments.
That's right. and you're not going to get your robot, right? Maybe soon a Tesla bot will be able to go to the listing appointment, but right now that's not the case, and your CRM's not going to be able to do it right now. So who and what you delegate matters. Who's the most prepared for it? Do they fit the description of what you're trying to accomplish with it? All of those things. And are they the most suitable solution to delegate it to? Okay. An example in that would be, right, let's say that I want to delegate some of my constant communications about things. Okay. Like let's say that I've got a newsletter, but I also want to reach out on a monthly basis and make sure that everybody got a home valuation report, and everybody also got the newsletter home valuation report and send them a text message to make sure they receive both of those to the email that they wanted to get it to, right? Let's say I'm doing some type of communication like that. Absolutely. Some of that delegation might be done by a VA. Some of that delegation might be done by a team member. Some of that might be done by you, and some of that might be done by your CRM. Yeah. So there's a lot of different places and ways that you can delegate those things to. I think probably the first thing that we would really want to take a close look at is how we're going to delegate that, right? This is where that formula kind of comes in that we were talking about just a minute ago. So, of course, we know we want to have the right person or tool or system in place to help us out. We know that that's what we want to do, right? We also want to make sure that we're actually taking the right task or the right communication or the right part of the transaction, and we're making sure that we're delegating that. So here's what I would suggest to begin with is part of that formula that we're talking about. So once every week, for probably 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how busy you are and what you have going on and everything. You just need to slow down and write down the things that really bogged you down that week. What was it that really slowed you down? What was it that you had a hard time getting accomplished at the level that you think you needed to get accomplished? So, as an example, we talk about prospecting, okay? And so, let's say you prospected and you got busy and you started doing a whole bunch of things. Now you're not prospecting as much because you're busy with the transaction things that you need to do in order to get to the closing table so that you can actually get paid, right? So, so that doesn't mean that you stop prospecting. It means that maybe there's some part of the prospecting that has to be automated. Right now, does a TC do that for you? Is that, depending on how you prospect, that's going to make a difference? Does your CRM do that for you? Depending on how you prospect, that's going to make a difference. Or do you do it yourself? How do you prospect and right? So number one, what you're going to do is you're going to set some time aside over probably a 6 or 8 week period, and you're going to look back at the things that consistently you've had an issue accomplishing over those 6 to 8 weeks. So, we talked in the beginning about just take some action. Man, there's some small thing right now that you just know needs to be delegated, right? Just do that, right? Something that needs to be delegated, okay? So when you first take the listing, who sends out the letter with the package with all the information that your seller needs to get to make sure that you've gotten them the things that they need to from a state compliance level, right? How does that all get sent out? Man, take care of that immediately. That's something, you don't need to wait 6 or 8 weeks to put that in place. That's something, go ahead and get that delegated, right? Do that. However, we don't want to rush into everything that we're delegating. Here's a big thing that happens, and this is why I want somebody to take 15 to 30 minutes once a week, go back and look at the things that you're doing and do it for a 6 week period. Here's why we want to do that. You're going to go to a training class, or you're going to hear something about your CRM, or your broker's going to tell you something needs to change, or you're going to hear something's changing in real estate, and all of a sudden you're going to say, man, I need to get this done. I need some help doing this. And before you've really learned how you're going to do it, before you've learned who the right person is to help you out with it, before you've really learned what you want to accomplish with it, you already turn around and delegate it to somebody. You already have somebody else helping you out with it. And so you don't really know what it is that really needs to be done, or if it's something big picture that you really want to even have going on in your business. How many times has somebody went to a seminar, and when they went to the seminar, the person talking or coaching or whatever up on the stage says, hey, you need to be doing this. And the person in the audience is like, oh my gosh, I do need to be doing that. I do need to change what I do. So the next thing you know, over the next 3 or 4 weeks, they go back and they try to implement this thing into their business. Now, sometimes it changes their business for the better. Right. Sometimes 4 months later, they're not doing it anymore. And all that was a distraction. And sometimes they actually want that in there and want it done a certain way, and they learn to delegate it. Yeah. That's why you take that time every week to write those things down, is to make sure you don't get caught in that trap.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And in our prime agent coaching, we talk a lot about when, of course, we start every meeting talking about motivation, momentum.
Right.
But we also talk a lot about, okay, like looking over the past week, what are the wins, what are the losses? And so you could, I'll let you kind of tell us, but you could play that within your wins and losses as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the losses and the wins aren't necessarily things that would need to be delegated, but man, I'll tell you what, they're going to point in that direction.
Right.
Right. And so as long as you're going back and you're in a calm, quiet space, and you sit down, you've got a computer in front of you, you got your notepad in front of you, or however you're taking notes, and you just say, what went really well this week? What went really poorly this week? What did I do that I don't want to do but still needs to be done?
Yeah.
What did I do this week that I really shouldn't have done that I don't need to do anymore? Just write that stuff down and then look for a pattern.
Yeah, I like that. So, there's 2 or 3 things, that we're going to discuss here when it comes to, we've talked about the timing, we've discussed the pace, common communication, right? That I know that's one of the things that you talk about in our coaching often. So why don't you share that a little bit?
Yeah. So common communication there are certain things that need to happen through a transaction or through your lead conversion that are just really consistent. Okay. So as an example, we're a big believer that you need to know, as an agent, you need to know what's going on in the market. And the reason why is, I mean, it's really simple, right? You bump into somebody, you meet somebody, and you start talking about their work, or they start talking about your work, and what comes up, you say, I'm in real estate, and what's the first thing out of their mouth, right? How's the market? Yeah. Happens all the time, right? So we're a big believer that you need to know what's going on in the market. Now, with that being said, that creates, if you allow it, that creates a lot of conversations to have with a lot of other people, meaning that if you have the market conversation and you truly know what's going on, and somebody says, well, how's the market? Or you bump into somebody and they ask you how work is going, and you can start intelligently talking about the market. If you do it in a good way, they're going to want more information on a regular basis, and a constant, consistent communication that should be going out to them is a monthly newsletter. And that monthly newsletter has to have market information in it. And so that kind of constant communication, that should be done by somebody's CRM. Now, you should be following up.
That should be done by our CRM.
What's that?
That should be done by our CRM.
That should be done by our CRM. Our CRM has
Matt's
an
like somebody's, and I'm like, no, it should be done by our CRM.
Right.
Everybody check that out.
Yep, absolutely. And so it's constantly going out, and it gives you a reason to reach out to them, to see what's going on with it. Our newsletter, as an example, it has every month, as long as there's a property address attached to the person, the contact, it sends them a market update it's embedded in their own newsletter, so it looks like their own personal newsletter, right? Yep. That's the kind of stuff that needs to be automated. That is the constant communication that needs to happen. Tell me about what's going on in the market. Then we dive deep into it, and we say, not only am I telling you what's going on in the market, I'm telling you what's going on with your house in the market. Yep. And then I'm staying in front of them with other things that are just beneficial to them. What's going on with property taxes? What's going on with in the local community? What's going on? Absolutely, all that kind of stuff. All of that, just there's a constant, consistent communication that needs to happen. And the problem that a lot of agents run into when they're delegating is they know that those things need to happen over and over, but they're not sure how to do it. They're not sure which part to automate. They're not sure which part to do in their CRM. They're not sure which part to hire a VA for. And that's why we want to talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that really needs that is obvious, right? This one, I think when everybody talks about delegation, they think about tasks. Mm-hmm. Right. And so that's the obvious thing. I love the communication that you kind of brought up. Mm-hmm. But let's talk just about, tasks for a second.
Yeah, I kind of touched on one, a little bit earlier, right? When the seller signs the listing appointment, or the agreement after the appointment, right? Once they sign it, how do you get that listing agreement to them? That's a task. Right? Depending on how you want to do it, right? Some people are like, oh my gosh, in my state or my area or how I've always done it or whatever, I'm gonna mail them a paper copy of it with a letter that says, hey, here's the property disclosure statement, here's the MLS, here's all of that, and they put it in a nice envelope and they mail it out to people. I think that's fabulous if that's what you want to do. Other people are like, there's no way I'm wasting the time on that. I'm gonna check 3 boxes and send an email. Other people are like, well, I think it happens because my transaction coordinator does it. All of those are and can be the right answer, but they're tasks that have to be delegated to the simplest possible way of accomplishing it. So let's go to the next part of that formula for just a second. So we started off with saying 15 to 30 minutes for 6 to 8 weeks, right? So we want to make sure that we're taking time to identify the right things, okay? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out what is it that we consistently do that is draining our time. Not just what did I do over this week and what is the pattern, but what is it that I need to accomplish in my business every time I do a listing, every time I put a property under contract, every time I close a property. There's certain things that you do. There's certain tasks that you accomplish. I would be willing to bet for most people, half of those can either be automated or delegated to another person. Yeah. Delegated to a person on the team, meaning a team member. So as an example, let's say that I close, and whenever I close on a property, I have a buyer's agent that's helping me. Is it the buyer's agent responsibility to make sure that all the copies of the Alta statement and everything else and copies of the contract and everything are delivered to the buyer? Whose job is it to do that? As a team leader, so many times we're like, well, this is my business, this is my clients, I need to make sure that this is happening. My suggestion is tell your buyer's agent, hey, here's how I do this, and every Monday we're going to talk about, did you deliver these to the people that they need to be delivered to? And then that buyer's agent on Monday might forget it the first Monday, but the second Monday after that talking to, they're not going to forget it again. Right now, they know that it's going to happen. Maybe your VA helps out with it. Maybe the CRM helps out with it. Maybe your company, your brokerage helps out with it. Here's the key. Someone has to be responsible for it, and then you have to get to a point as you're managing it. That's really what delegation is about. Delegation is not about handing something off and forgetting about it forever. It is about taking a system or a tool, a job, and leveraging it to get something accomplished with the right person. And then you, as the owner of that business, managing that to make sure it keeps getting done consistently. And at some point, looking for efficiency with it.
Yeah, I love that. So, guys, you're going to be watching this after it happens, but tomorrow we're going to be doing BOP Live. We're going to be talking about delegation and essentially how to delegate even further. It's a live mastermind that we do every single Thursday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we would love for you to be there. It's absolutely free to attend. If you want to go to any of the future ones, just click on the link in the description below. If you would like a copy of that one, send us an email, brokersopenpodcast@gmail.com. And I'll make sure that and let me know, hey, I need that one.
Or just comment on the video.
Yeah, or just perfect. Or just comment on the video, and I'll do everything I can to make sure that I get that link and that replay to you. So, other than that, Matt, anything else that you want to add before I put a little bow on it?
Yeah, just look for balance. Have a plan to be able to do it. So look at have a complete job description before you hand it off.
Yep.
Okay. Don't. Another mistake that I've seen made way too many times is somebody's like, okay, I need to add this to my business. I really need to start doing more marketing. Okay. And so they're going to hire a person that is going to be their assistant, and they go hire somebody that has a background in marketing.
Right.
Right. And then the next thing you know, because you didn't have it well defined, what it was that you were trying to accomplish with marketing.
Yep.
You hire somebody, and now they have their own opinion of what marketing is.
Right.
And what you tried to accomplish and what they thought marketing was is two different things. And then you end up saying, well, I knew I shouldn't have delegated that to them because it didn't go the way it was supposed to go.
Yeah.
And the truth is, they might still have been the right person. They might still have had the right skill set. But if you don't have your job description laid out, if you don't know what it really is that you're trying to accomplish, if you don't have the right tool in place to delegate the right way, then all you've done is you've tried to delegate something. You've created a whole nother job for yourself that ends up being frustrating, not working the way it's supposed to. So have the job description, make sure that it's the right person, and manage it after you delegate it.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's a difference between delegation and putting something off on someone else.
Correct.
Essentially.
Yep.
Awesome, guys. Well, wherever you're listening to this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Do me a favor, go down to the links in in the description below and click on all those things. There's so many free things that you can take advantage of. But most importantly, register for BOP Live every Thursday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Like I said, we'd love to see you there. It's free to attend. And guys, don't forget that Brokers Open Podcast, powered by Prime Real Estate Coaching. It's not just about opening the door to opportunities. It's about closing more transactions.